Hello everyone. Today we discuss about distinguish a chemical test which we perform to distinguish functional group in a given compound. First I'm taking is alcohol. Its suffix is ol. So in case of alcohol, to distinguish between isomeric alcohol, we perform Lucas test with the help of a Lucas reagent, which is a mixture of anhydrous zinc chloride and concentrated HCl. In case of primary alcohol, turbidity appears after heating. In case of secondary alcohol, turbidity appears after 5 minutes. And in case of tertiary alcohol, turbidity appears immediately because of the tertiary carbocation here. Next is phenol. For phenol, we perform azo-dye test. Orange dye will be obtained, or a bromine water test. In this case, white precipitate. Next is aldehyde. For aldehyde, suffix is al, and a chemical test that we perform is a Tollens reagent test, which is applicable for both aliphatic as well as aromatic aldehydes. In this case, silver mirror is obtained gray precipitate. Next is carboxylic acid. For carboxylic acid, suffix is oic acid. In this case, we perform sodium bicarbonate test. A brisk effervescence is there. To distinguish between isomeric amines, we perform Hinsberg test with the help of a Hinsberg reagent, which is benzene sulfonyl chloride. We have primary amine, secondary amine, and tertiary amine. Primary amine with benzene sulfonyl chloride. This result in the formation of C6H5SO2NHR, N-alkyl benzene sulfonamide, and the byproduct here is HCl. This resulting compound, that one is soluble in alkali because of the presence of acidic hydrogen. This hydrogen is acidic in nature. Then the next we have secondary amine. Secondary amine with benzene sulfonyl chloride, it forms N-dialkyl benzene sulfonamide. In this case, no acidic hydrogen is there, so the resulting compound is insoluble in alkali. In case of tertiary amine, as it doesn't have any hydrogen, so no reaction with Hinsberg reagent. Next is aniline. For aniline, we perform carbylamine test. This result in the formation of isocyanide gas. Last is iodoform test, most important one, which we do with the help of NaOH plus I2. The two combines with each other, result in the formation of NaOI. So any of the compound which is having acid except acetic acid, or eth in its name, that gives iodoform test. Another important point regarding the iodoform test, any of the compound, basically this test we do for a methyl ketone. So any of the compound which is having CH3CO part in its structure, or they have CH3CHOH part, they show iodoform test and result in the formation of yellow precipitate of iodoform, CHI3 iodoform. Last, for chloroform, CHCl3, we perform carbyl amine test. Yes, let's practice questions based on chemical distinguish. First, we are having a chemical distinguish between the following pair of compound, like we are having here phenol and benzoic acid. So phenol, that gives bromine water test, and benzoic acid, it gives sodium bicarbonate test. Phenol, it doesn't react with sodium bicarbonate. Next one is benzaldehyde and acetophenone. Benzaldehyde, aldehyde, so it gives a tolerance test, and for acetophenone, acid part is there, so it gives iodoform test. Pentane 2-on and pentane 3-on. Pentane 2-on, CH3CO, CH2, CH2, CH3. And pentane 3-on is CH3, CH2, CO, CH2, CH3. In case of pentane 2-on, we are having methyl ketone. So pentane 2-on, it gives iodoform test. Next we have benzoic acid and ethyl benzoate. Benzoic acid, carboxylic acid. So it gives sodium bicarbonate test, and this test, ethyl benzoate, it doesn't show any reaction with ethyl benzoate. Next is acetophenone and benzophenone. Again, we are having acid part here. So this acid, it gives iodoform test. Next we have propanal and propanone. Propanal, Al is there, so this one is a aldehyde. So for aldehyde, we do tolerance test. So propanal gives a tolerance test, but propanone, it doesn't react with tolerance. Next is N-propyl alcohol. N-propyl alcohol is N-propyl alcohol, primary alcohol, and sec-propyl, or you can say isopropyl alcohol, that one is a secondary alcohol. So we do a Lucas test. In case of primary alcohol, turbidity will, that is the cloudiness, appears after heating, and in case of secondary alcohol, that is the isopropyl alcohol, turbidity appears after 5 minutes. Next is acetaldehyde and acetone. Acetaldehyde, aldehyde, again we do a tolerance test here. Next we have aniline and phenol. Aniline, we do a carbylamine test, and for phenol, we do a bromine water test or a azodite test. Azodite test we can perform for both. In case of aniline, yellow precipitate, yellow dye is obtained, and in case of phenol, orange dye. Next we have tert methylamine. Tert means tertiary amine, and di means two methyls are there, so this one is secondary amine. It means this is a distinguish between secondary and tertiary amines. So in this case, we perform Hinsberg test. So in Hinsberg test, the resulting sulfonide, that one is alkali insoluble in case of secondary amine, and for tertiary amine, no reaction with Hinsberg reagent because of the absence of hydrogen in case of tertiary amine. So for methylamine and dimethylamine, we perform Hinsberg test. Next we have propane 1-ol and propane 2-ol. For propane 1-ol is a primary alcohol, propane 2-ol is a secondary. So we perform Lucas test. Ethylamine and diethylamine. Diethylamine is secondary amine. So in case of secondary amine, we perform Hinsberg test here. Ethylamine is a primary amine. You can also do a carbylamine test for a primary amine. So we are having a primary amine and a secondary amine. We chemically distinguish these two with the help of a Hinsberg test. Next we have phenol and cyclohexanol. So for phenol, either we go for a bromine water test or we do a, in this case, azodite test. Next we have ethanol and ethanoic acid, alcohol and carboxylic acid. So sodium bicarbonate test that is given by a ethanoic acid. Next we have methyl benzoate and ethyl benzoate. Ester part we have COCH3 methyl and the ethyl part is COC2H5. When you dissolve these in water, then the resulting, they give methanol and ethanol along with the benzoic acid. So in this case, we are distinguishing methanol with ethanol. So this compound, it has eth part in it. So we use a iodoform test here. Or simply eth is there, so iodoform. Next, we have a chloroform and carbon tetrachloride. For a chloroform, that one is distinguished with the help of a carbylamine test. Methanol and ethanol, eth part is there, so we use a iodoform test. Formic acid and acetic acid. Formic acid, HC double bond OH. Acetic acid is CH3COOH. In case of formic acid, we have CHO part here. So it also gives, both give sodium bicarbonate test because both of them are carboxylic acid. Then how to distinguish between formic and acetic acid? In case of formic acid, we have CHO as a functionality here also. If you simply check the structure of the compound. So this we distinguish with the help of a Tollens test because of the presence of CHO part in it. The next we have sec-butyl alcohol and tert butyl alcohol. Sec-butyl alcohol, secondary alcohol, and tert is a tertiary. So again with the help of a Lucas test, in case of tertiary alcohol, turbidity appears immediately because of carbocation tertiary is there, and in case of secondary, turbidity appears after heating because the rate of reaction is bit slow here. Then we have a benzyl alcohol and phenol. Phenol, that one is distinguished from the benzyl alcohol. Either you can perform a bromine water test, white precipitate, or do a azodite test. In that case, orange dye will be obtained. And one more test is there. That one is a ferric chloride test, which we do in our practical exam also.